I know that later on, when I found out certain people was suspect in assassination of Tupac, an attempted assassination on me.
That was Suge Knight, and he's finally breaking his silence on what really led to Tupac's death. According to the death row boss, it wasn't just gang beef, it was jealousy. Some rap legends who couldn't handle Pac's rise, and that envy turned deadly. His revelation is changing everything we thought we knew. I've got the full story. Let's break it down. The jealousy seed. Yo, peep game. October 2025 rolled around, and the whole hip-hop nation was already reeling from Diddy catching that 50-month stretch while Keef D's murder trial was about to jump off. But ain't nobody expecting the realest tea to get spilled by the big homie Suge Knight, who been sitting in Richard J. Donovan Correctional Facility since 2018, running game from behind them prison walls. This OG started blessing the streets with some real talk through collect calls, YouTube drops, and Instagram lives that had the whole culture on freeze from August to late September. Suge wasn't just kicking it, he was breaking down the whole playbook on how jealousy, not just street beef, is what really got Pac laid out on that Vegas strip back in '96. Through a grip of prison phone sessions, YouTube exclusives that went dummy viral, and IG lives that had the homies gathered around their phones like Sunday service, Suge was painting a whole different picture of Tupac's last days, one that hit harder than any diss track. His whole angle? That envy wasn't just some background noise in Pac's story. It was the gasoline that set off the whole inferno of the '90s rap wars. The real reason why hip-hop's most revolutionary soldier caught them fatal slugs on September 7th, 1996. The real story popped off on August 4th, 2025, when Knight got on the jack with SKG, his ride-or-die associate, for a grimy 45-minute phone interview that racked up over 3 million views in 24 hours flat. Calling from his cell, with them automated operator interruptions breaking up the flow, Suge was putting the homies up on game with some wild connections, linking Nipsey Hussle's 2019 Marathon clothing store murder to Tupac's BMW shooting. Both kings, he said, got taken out by that same green-eyed monster. Real recognize real, and jealous cats stay plotting in the shadows while you shining in the light. Suge peeped how Nipsey's entrepreneurial come-up mirrored Pac's post-jail glow-up. According to the big homie, the jealousy that eventually murked Tupac started bubbling almost immediately after his October 1995 signing to death row, when Suge put up that $1.4 million bail to spring Pac from Rikers like he was family. When All Eyes on Me dropped in February 1996, hitting #1 and going diamond, that joint didn't just move the needle at death row, it took over the whole damn building. The album's crazy success flipped the whole script on the label's pecking order, turning former day ones into salty spectators watching from the sidelines. Danny Boy, one of death row's R&B cats, kept it a buck about the jealousy that was moving through the label like a virus. Speaking years later when he could finally be honest without catching fade, the homie admitted what everybody knew, but nobody wanted to say out loud.
I mean, everything became about Tupac. Every promotion, people having albums, their albums have been promised to be released. You Up Next. Like, and you can look in the back of the records, it would say, you know, Danny Boy album coming out, this, da-da-da-da. In the Dog Pound, and da-da-da-da-da. Anybody that had an album that was up to come out, all that shit was scratched into Tupac. He wasn't finished with his records.
The jealousy wasn't just business. It was personal, petty, and spreading through the camp like wildfire. Cats who helped build Death Row from the ground up suddenly found themselves playing background in somebody else's movie. Knight broke it down in a December 2023 episode that went viral again throughout 2025, explaining how Pac's arrival straight up disrupted the family vibe that existed at the label before he touched down. Even Danny Boy, who stayed cool with Pac, couldn't escape that competitive energy that came with the sudden shift in who was eating and who was starving.
And at first I was under him alone, so to say, like, you know, about what Danny Boy say. Then when Pac came along, it was like, shit. Now it's me and Pac arguing about who's gonna get in the front seat, you know, shotgun and things like that. So it definitely became a friendly competition.
SKG, who had a front row seat to Death Row's whole collapse, was chopping it up during that August conversation, with stories about Tupac's late-night studio grinds clashing with Snoop's more laid-back sessions, creating what she called a camp divide, where loyalty got twisted into resentment faster than you could say West Side. Suge's realest take on jealousy's poison came straight from the streets, delivered with the wisdom of an OG who'd watched it destroy everything he built. He broke down a crucial difference that became the whole foundation of his theory about what really killed Tupac. It wasn't hate, which comes at you loud and direct, but jealousy, which moves in silence, creeping through the crew until it corrupts everything it touches. The emotional weight behind Suge's revelations went way beyond just industry politics. By August 5th, the video had blown past 3 million views, spawning Twitter trends like "Calls Suge Jealousy Truth" and Reddit threads, where fans were drawing lines from the past to the present, comparing it to Kendrick's "Not Like Us" shots at Drake and the never-ending cycle of rap beef that blurs the line between healthy competition and straight-up cancer. Knight's warning wasn't just about the past, it was about right now. He kept stressing that without addressing this disease of jealousy, the cycle would keep repeating, with the next Nipsey or Tupac somewhere in the shadows around rising stars, like Ice Spice or Glorilla. The comparison hit different. Both Tupac and Nipsey were entrepreneurs trying to change the game, and both paid the ultimate price for shining too bright. But Suge wasn't done dropping jewels. On August 13th, he came through with a bombshell on the Art of Dialogue podcast, revealing how he personally stepped in to prevent what could have been a deadly fashion mistake during Tupac's "To Live and Die in LA" video shoot. The 12-minute revelation had the kind of specific details that make you wonder if this is really what went down, or at least what Suge wants us to believe went down. According to the Big Homie's version, he pulled up to the July 1996 set at LA's Crenshaw Boulevard, and Pac rolled through wearing a sky blue Dodgers fitted and a mesh tank top. For anybody who knows LA gang politics, that was basically walking through enemy territory with a target on your back. Those were Crip colors, and Death Row was rolling with Mob Piru Bloods. That's the kind of slip that gets you touched. Suge described a whole chaotic scene with mad detail, cameras rolling, extras everywhere, the LA heat beating down at 95 degrees, and him grabbing a stylist kit to cut up the tank and dye the hat red with fabric markers and whatever paint they had laying around from the props. Pac wasn't trying to hear it at first. To him it was just clothes, but after Suge pulled him to the side and broke down the danger, he fell back and later acknowledged the Big Homie was looking out. Knight connected this wardrobe intervention to his bigger jealousy theory, claiming that rivals like Orlando Anderson were watching for any excuse to make a move, their hate amplified by whispers from jealous cats inside Death Row who were leaking information to street enemies. The story blew up online with a Reddit thread titled "Suge Finally Confirms It," getting 1-200 upvotes as internet detectives debated whether Suge's account was real protection or just storytelling after the fact. But underneath all the wardrobe drama was a darker reality. Jealousy within Death Row's own ranks had created an environment where Pac's every move was being watched, recorded, and potentially used against him.
Descended lower and lower, heading directly toward the mountains of the southern French Alps. This wasn't a mechanical failure or an emergency descent. The aircraft systems were functioning perfectly. This was something else entirely, something far more sinister. 4 a.m., lube adjustment, increasing the aircraft's speed. The airspeed climbed to 400 knots, approximately 740 km/h or 460 miles per hour. The plane was now hurtling toward the ground even faster. Inside the aircraft, the ground proxy system activated, its automated voice calling out, "Terrain, pull up, terrain, pull up." But Lubitz didn't respond. He didn't pull up, he didn't level off, simply continued flying the aircraft as steady as ever. By 10:38 a.m., French air traffic control had declared a distress phase. They scrambled a French Air Force Mirage 1000 fighter jet from Orange Caritat Air Base, hoping it might be able to make visual contact with the stricken airliner to somehow determine what was happening. But the mountains were too close, the time too short. The Mirage arrived too late. Inside the cabin of Flight 925, passengers realized that something was terribly, horribly wrong. The air descending steeply, much too steeply for a normal approach to an airport. Through the windows, the jagged peaks of the Alps were larger, closer, filling their field of vision. And then, in the final moments, the cockpit voice recorder captured the sounds that would haunt investigators for years to come, the screams of passengers who understood that they were going to. At the cockpit door, Captain Sondner was still desperately trying to break through, using what investigators crowbar or fire axe, standard emergency equipment kept in commercial cockpits. He was trying everything, prying, calling out to his co-pilot, but the reinforced door, designed to withstand exactly this kind of assault, held firm. And inside, Andreas Lubitz remained silent, his breathing, his hand on the controls, guiding the aircraft toward its final destination. At 10:41:05 a.m. Central European Time, German Wings Flight 95 struck the Tête du Travers mountain near Prades-Haute-Bléon in the French Alps. The aircraft was traveling at approximately 700 kilometers per hour, 430 miles per hour, when it impacted the mountainside at an
26 was pure deflection with some heat. Suge's capping from the pen, linking me to Pac's killer. That's jealousy talk. Nia mad I own what he lost. But if Snoop represented jealousy on the street level, Dr. Dre was the artistic version, the genius whose ego couldn't handle sharing the throne with Tupac's unstoppable creative grind. Knight's take on the Dre-Tupac dynamic shows how jealousy operates where talent meets money, where production credits become weapons, and studio time equals power. The friction between Dre and Tupac came from fundamental questions about who was really putting in that work. Knight revealed that Pac had discovered some uncomfortable truths about Dre's creative process. Knight's revelation that Tupac questioned Dre's authenticity, both as producer and lyricist, attacked hip-hop's whole foundation. In an era when ghostwriting was still taboo and production credits meant everything, Pac's skepticism about Dre's contributions wasn't just artistic disagreement, it was calling out his whole legacy. But the ultimate snake move in Knight's telling wasn't about creative differences, but straight abandonment. When Snoop was facing a murder case and needed character witnesses, Dre's response showed where his loyalty really was. This moment crystallized the whole jealousy dynamic for Tupac. Here he was going to bat for Snoop, his homie and collaborator, while Dre, the supposed architect of West Coast hip-hop, wouldn't even show up to court. The message was crystal clear. Success isolates you, and the people you put on may not return the favor when you need them most. Dre's March 1996 exit, announced with some corporate vibe press release about pursuing solo ventures, was when the split became official. With a $20 million Interscope bag for Aftermath Entertainment, Dre claimed irreconcilable visions, but Knight frames it as jealousy-driven abandonment that left Tupac vulnerable in the middle of the East-West War. Knight's son Taj amplified these accusations in March 2025, questioning Dre's relevance in social media posts that got 50,000 views, echoing his pop's claims that Dre's jealousy showed up in withholding resources and support at crucial moments. But Death Row's jealousy went beyond just the big names. It infected the whole roster of artists whose dreams got put on hold, while Tupac's star ate up all the resources. Danny Boy's honest admission provided rare insider confirmation of Knight's whole theory, that jealousy wasn't just one or two people, but had spread through the entire organization like a disease. The jealousy wasn't always aggressive. Danny Boy called parts of it friendly competition, but Knight insisted it turned into something more dangerous as financial disputes over projects like Gridlocked and demands for features turned day ones into bitter enemies. The distribution of money and opportunities became a zero-sum game where Tupac's win meant everybody else took an L. Warren G, Snoop's Blood and G-Funk pioneer, got special attention in Knight's story. His Take a Look Over Your Shoulder, 1997, tanked at number 105, partly because Death Row's marketing budget got redirected, with Knight admitting that Tupac shut down a joint tour, saying Warren couldn't pull the crowds they needed, a cold business calculation that left personal relationships as casualties. Daz Dillinger's strong denials throughout 2024-2025. We made Tupac, no envy. Suge's confusion tore the family, directly contradicted Knight's version, highlighting how Death Row's history is still being fought over, with every participant remembering events through their own filter of pain and blame. Yet beneath these competing stories was an undeniable truth. Something had broken within Death Row's crew, turning what should have been hip-hop's greatest dynasty into a pressure cooker of resentment that would eventually explode in the most tragic way imaginable. As jealousy festered within Death Row's ranks, outside forces were positioning themselves to exploit these cracks, and according to Knight, those forces included some of hip-hop's biggest names, the Fatal Convergence. By October 2025, as fall hit both coasts, Knight's jealousy theories collided head-on with major legal situations that seemed to validate his darkest predictions while raising questions about his own role in the tragedy he claimed to mourn. The October 3rd sentencing of Sean Diddy Combs, ending a 9-month federal case that exposed allegations of sex trafficking and racketeering, hit like a bomb that echoed through hip-hop's history. When U.S. District Judge Annalisa Torres handed down a 50-month sentence, Knight broke his silence the next day with a heated response that framed Diddy's downfall as delayed justice. Knight's October 4th video blew up to 5.2 million views in 48 hours, with Knight positioning Diddy's prison bid as payback for sins stretching back almost 3 decades. But buried in Knight's long-winded commentary was his most explosive revelation yet, his admission that he'd known about the murder plot for years. The specific details in Knight's account, Keefe D naming names, pointing out security who took money, breaking down Bad Boy's involvement, had the weight of someone finally letting go of a secret that's been eating at them. Knight claimed he couldn't retaliate despite his blood boiling because, as he put it, he was an intelligent, wise man and businessman, choosing instead to gather information that would haunt hip-hop for decades. Keefe D's own court case, the 62-year-old Southside Crips OG charged in July 2023 with Tupac's murder, provided disturbing backup to the story. Leaked parts from a 2008 DEA interview, resurfaced in a September 2025 all-hip-hop piece, painted Diddy as burning with jealousy over Tupac's success. Keefe D himself confirmed the money motivation in interviews, explaining how the promised bread never came through despite carrying out the deadly mission. The connection between Diddy's current legal drama and Tupac's unsolved murder created a feedback loop where 1996's jealousy fueled 2025's consequences. As Twitter lit up with Hada Diddy Tupac hashtags hitting 2.5 million impressions on October 5th, Knight's narrative positioned these scandals as vindication, jealousy as the original sin, growing from album sales to business betrayals, now exposed by indictments and appeals. Yet even as Knight played the role of truth-teller, his own actions faced serious scrutiny. His admission that he knew about the murder plot for years, choosing to pump Keefe D for information instead of seeking immediate justice, raised uncomfortable questions about his own involvement and whether self-preservation was disguised as strategic thinking. Knight's story of systemic betrayal went beyond individual jealousies into institutional failure. His allegations about death row security and others withholding crucial information, that off-duty cops couldn't carry their pieces, that threats existed, suggested jealousy operated through what people didn't say as much as what they did, creating vulnerabilities that enemies could exploit. Perhaps the most damning accusation was Knight's revelation about the lawyer who represented both him and Tupac. He claimed this attorney, whom he'd helped financially over the years, had participated in coordinating the hit through walkie-talkie communications. According to Michael, the accusation that David Kenner, the lawyer who brokered Tupac's death row deal, might have been involved represented jealousy's ultimate snake move. The trusted advisor turned Judas. Knight's discovery of a walkie-talkie in his legal files, which the attorney had sworn never existed, added physical evidence to accusations that might otherwise seem like prison paranoia. Throughout October 2025, as petitions for unsealed Tupac files gathered hundreds of thousands of signatures and Keefe D's trial date locked in for February 2026, Knight's jealousy thesis evolved from street knowledge into something approaching a complete theory, an explanation for how individual resentments, institutional failures, and industry corruption came together to destroy hip-hop's most revolutionary voice. Yet for all Knight's moral high ground, his own jealousies remained unexamined. His rants about Snoop's death row ownership ignored his own role in building a system where artists owned nothing and moguls controlled everything. His hate for Dre's aftermath success and Snoop's business moves suggested he was projecting, accusing others of the jealousy that may have driven his own destructive choices. Snoop's eventual reconciliation with Knight, worked out in a Vegas hotel room with just the two OGs facing decades of accumulated beef, offered a different ending to Knight's jealousy story. Their mutual acknowledgement of past love and pain suggested that even rap's deepest wounds could heal when real men chose forgiveness over eternal warfare. Yet Tupac never got that chance. He never lived to squash beef with Snoop, to understand Dre's perspective, to forgive the jealousies that poisoned his final year. Knight's revelation about Tupac's relationship with Death Row painted the rapper's final days as a realization that shining too bright attracts the most dangerous haters, a lesson learned too late to save him. As October 2025 closed with Diddy facing appeals, Keefe D awaiting trial, and Knight dropping wisdom from his cell about karma and jealousy, hip-hop found itself trapped in an endless cycle, still fighting the same battles, still letting envy poison the culture, still refusing to learn the lessons Tupac's death should have taught 3 decades earlier. In hip-hop's Hall of Mirrors, where jealousy reflects eternally, perhaps the only truth that matters is that talent-deserving immortality got cut down in its prime, and the jealous cats who tried to dim his light only ensured it would burn forever in the hearts of real ones worldwide. Thanks for watching. If you had a good time, keep the adventure alive by clicking on one of the suggested videos on your screen right now for more amazing content.